I've been sitting on this one for a while, not because it's like a big dramatic secret, but because it just didn't feel very relevant. It felt complaining and it felt like, I don't know, there was no reason to make a video about it. But somebody tried to say that I am negative on Nintendo because I no longer have access, and I'm not going to call them out by throwing their tweet on screen, but it made me want to tell this story. So gather around, grab some popcorn. How SwitchForce, a channel that makes daily Nintendo content and has for years, no longer is in touch with Nintendo. All right, let me take you way, way back. Nintendo used to be a nightmare to work with. You probably know this if you've been around YouTube at all. Like, they used to copyright their music. They used to copyright their gameplay. They were very difficult. And then around the Switch, they entered this era where they were like, hey, we're going to work with you. And it was really cool. It was really great. I got a Switch 1 early with Breath of the Wild early, and that felt like the greatest gift a Nintendo fan and Nintendo YouTuber could ever get. I was super grateful. I was super appreciative, and I got invited to a lot of stuff. We'll touch on why the access matters and what's important about it later, but know that for the Switch 1, I got it early. Now, I have not been in touch with Nintendo for 5 years. It's a long time. It's a really long time, and I want you to know that, like, I continue to do content all the time on them, continue to buy their games, continue to play their games without their support, without their help, without their events, without anything. Because I love Nintendo, and I love games, and I genuinely like talking about this, even when my opinion might not always be the most, like, woohoo, like, I still got to be honest with you. And so the key to me is not being negative because they've taken away access or being positive because they give access. No, none of that applies. It's just be honest no matter what. Talk about how you honestly feel as a lifelong Nintendo fan, as a current Switch 2 owner, and share that story. And that's what I've shared with you. But in 2021, they removed access. Now, who remembers what happened in 2021? Switch OLED. Cool system. Really love the OLED. Think it was a niftier upgrade than it got credit for before it came out, and then afterwards everyone was like, oh, this is really good. It's kind of a game changer, and it was. Till the Switch 2. It was a really nice upgrade. Nintendo had not contacted me about a Switch 1 OLED review unit, as they did with the Switch 1. Now remember that the Switch 1 I got like a week before. I had a lot of lead-up time to play, to make content, to unbox, to play Breath of the Wild, all that. OLED, heard nothing from them. So I looked and I saw that certain YouTubers were already unboxing Switch 1 OLEDs. Big YouTubers, beat 'em ups was one that I saw. And I was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can get one of these. So I found a Switch 1 OLED online before it came out. This was like a couple days before, the weekend before. Like, let's say it released on a Tuesday or something. This was like Thursday, right? So I get this Switch 1 OLED off of eBay. Now, people list games early on eBay all the time. This is not a weird thing. This is common practice for consoles, for games. You can pay above market price to get early access, and I thought it would be cool to unbox the system and check it out and get a review for you guys, for the channel, before it came out so people could know if it was worth it. I was excited about it, and I wanted to see, and I saw other YouTubers, big YouTubers, posting about it, so I was like, okay, clearly Nintendo didn't send it to these people early. Clearly, they're not going to magically show up in my inbox on launch day and say, surprise, FedEx is delivering today. So I bought this Switch 1 OLED, and I unboxed it here on the channel, and I said what I thought of the system after my first impressions. I got an email shortly after from Nintendo, very upset, asking, what happened? Why did I unbox this system on my channel? I said, well, I bought this system, and I acquired it via somebody else. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if they have a problem, they're probably going to go after that person, right? Because I just bought it. I'm effectively the messenger in this, right? Like, they're the ones who got it. How they got it, I don't know. But they got it. And they asked for any information, Nintendo did, about where I got it. And so I gave them the information of where I got it. Now, I thought in my head, this is going to be totally cool. And me providing them the information is just helping and following along with what they've asked, and they're going to go chase after this person, Nintendo Ninja Star them. No. I don't know if they ever went after this person, but I do know that they went after me. And by going after me, they sent a follow-up email basically saying that due to me unboxing the Nintendo Switch OLED before release, I would no longer be receiving any access from Nintendo. Now, this was very upsetting at the time because of two main reasons. One, Nintendo was not offering to give me the Switch OLED. And why that's significant is not because I then have every right to go out and do my own thing. It's because if Nintendo provided it, I would have been breaking embargo by posting early. When I would get a Switch OLED from Nintendo or anything from Nintendo, it comes with an embargo which says, hey, if you agree to get this product, you're agreeing to not post it until XYZ date. So it might be the launch day, it might be the day before, it might be a week before. Nintendo has crazy embargoes. A lot of times there's lots of tiers of like, you can show this and this on this day, then you can show this on that day, but you can't talk about this and this until ever. Or like you could show the first level, but no menus, and can't talk about the storyline. Whatever it is, they set that embargo. Because Nintendo didn't send me the Switch OLED, I didn't have an embargo. I was not under any obligation whatsoever to not unbox this thing. I didn't agree to anything. I didn't get any free product, and it sure didn't seem like Nintendo was going to ask me about it, and I was right, they never did. The other thing that bothers me is that other big YouTubers did this. Now, at the time, I was like, that's ridiculous. Why would I lose access when YouTubers with far more reach posted before me? Later, I learned that beat-ups also lost access. Now, Nintendo, they're pretty harsh, okay? I've dealt with them for a long time. As I mentioned, early days, it was almost impossible for YouTubers to get anything, but then it got good. For a while, I got to go to cool events. I got to go to see the Switch 1 shown off by Reggie. I got to play it at the first ever Switch 1 reveal event. I got to go to the first Smash Brothers Ultimate event and play the game there. At E3 back in the day in the LA Convention Center, I'd get to go behind closed doors with Nintendo. I'd get to try out all of their games. I even got to interview Shigeru Miyamoto. The pictures you see on my wall are from when I interviewed Shigeru Miyamoto and we had an art contest, me versus him. Guess who won? Those are the pictures he drew for that video, in that video right in front of me, and then signed them. That video is up on Ghost Robo, but I think I've reposted it here. Ghost Robo is my older channel. That's what it was initially. That's where I did the interview, but it has a perfect home on SwitchForce. But that was before SwitchForce existed, I think. Maybe not, I don't know. Yeah, E3? Before SwitchForce existed, because Breath of the Wild was not out. So it went on Ghost Robo. So I had a lot of really cool perks. I will say that Nintendo's perks weren't as grand as other perks because when Nintendo sent review codes for YouTubers, at least for me, I got them launch day. Now, a launch day review code is nice and it's free, but to be honest, it kind of sucks. One, you're having no lead time to figure out what content you want to make, what videos you want to make. Two, you can get Nintendo's game via a different country's eShop before they even give you the review code. So at times, it feels like waiting for that review code is a punishment, not a privilege. Yeah, you're getting the game free, but you're getting it later than others, and it's not like they send it at midnight. My experience with Nintendo for Switch 1 games was that they would give you the review code that afternoon or whenever they found it convenient. And Nintendo would ask me, like, how do you have this game before we send it to you? And I'd say, your Switch is region free. I can go on Australia in the eShop or Japan's eShop or a number of other eShops and buy the game legally with my own money. And that's what I did. And they didn't seem to like that. Now, again, that's before I got the game for free. That's before I agreed to any embargo. That's before they sent it to me. I wanted to play the game right away. I wanted to bring coverage right away. But it bothered them that I was not just sitting there and smiling. And I feel like a lot of what Nintendo wanted from YouTubers, at least in my era, was to sit there and be very grateful for what you got and not do anything else. Like, to me, not agreeing to an embargo and getting this console from somebody else and posting an unboxing when it's not even a brand new console, right? It's not like, oh, no one had this. It's not like, oh, there were new games. It was just an OLED screen. And I believe at the time, that the OLED had already been shown and previewed to plenty of outlets and plenty of people at Nintendo press events, of which I did not get invited to. Now, this was during COVID, so I understand that things were much more limited then, so I don't really fault them for that. This was not a bitter move by me. This was me saying, hey, you're clearly not going to give me early access or a free Switch 1 OLED, so I will get it myself. That's totally fine. I wasn't mad at Nintendo. I wasn't bothered. I wasn't doing this to get back at them. I legitimately thought that it would be totally fine. Now, I've lost all of that access since then. So what does that mean for me? That means going to preview events. I 100% would be still going to preview events. I'd be going to play Splatoon Raiders with the other people, and I don't do that anymore. I'd 100% get offered review codes on launch day, and I would still probably decline them because you can get them a full day early on the Australian eShop, or even on the US eShop, they're out at midnight. You don't have to wait for them to wake up and send out their emails. Again, no shade, it's a free product, I get it, but I didn't really feel like that was that much of a perk. What is a perk though is if you're in good with Nintendo, because there were still people that were YouTubers that would get Nintendo games before that launch day code. Now, I don't know how they got that. I don't know what connections they had. I don't know if they were speaking to different people than I was speaking to, but I specifically remember GameXplain as one who would get the games before that launch day code and clearly had access even though they were still YouTubers. Because the line I was fed was that YouTubers get the games on launch day, journalists get the games ahead of time for their reviews. But GameXplain, they were YouTubers and they got them early. And I'm sure there were other channels that got them early as well. So I don't fully know how that worked. I just know that most people were getting the codes launch day, and most people, like, it wasn't the greatest part. But the events were awesome. The early access was awesome to those like preview sessions and review sessions that you'd sometimes get to go to New York or go to LA and get to do that. Or, you know, in the COVID times, you get to see, like, I remember one I saw, like a Paper Mario Color Splash. Paper Mario Origami King, like a live presentation online that then you could record and make videos off of. Anyhow, the question then is, how did this change my Nintendo coverage? Because they basically spurned me. They said, we don't care that you make Nintendo stuff every day. We don't care that you promote our products every single day. You opened a Switch OLED and we don't like you. And the answer to that question is it changed absolutely nothing. That has been in effect for 5 years now. And there have been people that have accused me of, on this end of the spectrum, shilling for Nintendo, saying every game is great and everything they do is great and not calling them out for their BS. And there have been people saying, you're so negative, you hate Nintendo, you're so bitter, what's going on? Both ends of the spectrum, and they've probably overlapped and crisscrossed like a Mobius strip many times over the last 5 years. In fact, I would bet money that there are people that today comment and say, you're so negative about Nintendo, you must hate them, that at one point said I was too positive about Nintendo and I must be getting paid. Well, the last 5 years, nothing was happening with Nintendo. No exchange of anything. Nothing, except me buying their games and covering them for you, me reading their news and covering it for you, and me getting zero perks from Nintendo. But I promise you, it did not make me bitter. It did not make me bash them. It did not make me treat them any differently. There's times where you could say Zach's really positive about Nintendo, and times you could say Zach's really negative, and both times I didn't have access. The last 5 years, the entire run-up to Switch 2, the entire Switch 2 life cycle has been me without any access to Nintendo, and I just tell it how it is. And honesty is sometimes imperfect. Honesty does not mean that you have a super 100% logical, proof in the pudding way of covering things. It just means you go based on what you think and how you feel at that time. I've changed and evolved over 5 years, surely. Games have hit me differently over 5 years and over 16 years on YouTube, surely. But when I'm saying that Nintendo's last Direct stunk, in my opinion, and I felt nothing, it's because I felt nothing. It's because I thought the Direct stunk. It's not because I'm getting back at Nintendo. It's not because I'm jaded. It's not because I hate them. I love them. Little do you know, I play my Switch 2 pretty much every day. Lately, I've been playing Mini Shoot Adventures, previously beat Mina the Hollower, Adventures of Elliot. I played Star Fox on the console. I'm looking forward to playing Splatoon Raiders. I'm probably diving back into Splatoon 3. I play the console every day. I love Nintendo. I have Nintendo stuff everywhere. I just got the flower. I just realized I don't have a tiny enough screwdriver to open the flower up. In no part of me do I hate Nintendo. In fact, as I discussed in a previous video, me criticizing Nintendo is actually the purest form of love because I want them to be the best they can be. I want them to treat their fans and their consumers the best they can, and I don't just sit there and swallow whatever they feed me. It's such a hard thing nowadays because you're positive, you're a shill, you're negative, you're a hater. There's really no middle ground, so I just be honest. I just stay honest no matter what. I don't think I'm jaded. In fact, I'd say I'm loving games more now than I have in about a decade. So I've been playing things across all platforms and a lot of Switch 2. I just have felt how I felt about their lineup, felt how I felt about their Switch 2 rollout, felt how I felt about their games, and I'm willing to reconsider. Like with Mario Kart World, I thought it was okay at launch, and I went back, I've been playing it a bunch, and I'm really, really liking that game, and I think it's better than people give it credit for. So I'll always be honest with you about Nintendo. I really feel like There's no salt. There's no bitter. And I'm genuinely excited about Metroid Ravenous. I made a video, I'm genuinely excited about that. I've been intentionally holding off playing Elden Ring for the Switch 2 version because I got deep into the game. I had a bunch come up in my life. I didn't finish it. I wanted to go back, and I've waited for the Switch 2 version. Look, Ocarina of Time, that's the game I got for my 10-year-old birthday. Gold cartridge, got myself an N64 from my parents. Best birthday ever. Loved it so much. I will play that game whatever it ends up being. But I'm also going to be genuinely critical if I don't like a direct, or if I think a game isn't worth the price, whether it's an arcade game or not. Dude, we're not in an arcade. You can give us more content. And all games are replayable at a certain extent. It doesn't have to be short to be replayable. I can replay a game that's 30 hours. The big point here is that I love Nintendo, and I've loved Nintendo when they've stuck by me and when they've abandoned me. And it hasn't changed how I felt about them. If anything, losing access to Nintendo freed me even more to say exactly what I think without any awkwardness whatsoever. I previously still said what I thought, but I had to face these people in person and be like, that direct sucked, smiley face, thumbs up. Now I don't have to do that. I feel like the last 5 years I've become an even more honest, even better critic and analyst of Nintendo than I've ever been before. And that's without any access, which is kind of counterintuitive, but that's how it worked out for me. I'm not mad about it. Let's be clear. There is a world where I cover Nintendo dishonestly and I make bank. And that's not the world I've chosen. So for those that try to say, oh, you cover Nintendo negatively because they spited you, or you cover Nintendo negatively because you're trying to make money, neither of those are true. It's actually would be the opposite, but that's not what happens. And I will continue to do it this way. I'd love it if Nintendo wanted to connect again. This is SwitchForce. We've done it for Switch 1, Switch Lite, Switch OLED, Switch 2. Maybe one day they'll send me another console. But the reason that I didn't get on their good side, the reason that I fell off of all their lists is because they didn't give me a console, and I got it myself and I unboxed it early, and they didn't like that. So there you have it. Nintendo doesn't really do anything with me at all. They don't mess with me. They don't F with me, if you want to say it that way. And that's okay. Still buy all their games, still their day one, still covering them, and still running SwitchForce. So let me know your take in the comments down below. Curious what you guys think about this. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Be honest. I think that's a good thing. Until next time, SwitchForce out.